Welcome back to the Busy Keto Life channel, where you can count on getting fact-based information that will help you succeed in all your keto goals. One of the things people ask about often after embarking on keto is treats and snacks. Keto treats and snacks are awesome. I eat them every day, but I have a very different view of treats and snacks than you've ever heard before. If you're on keto or even considering keto, you need to hear this. I'm Dave Champion, your guide to keto success, and what you're about to hear will be a dramatic paradigm shift from the way you've been thinking. How often is the word treat or snack used to refer to something healthy? Not too often. Because of that, we tend to think of treats and snacks as something bad, as something we really shouldn't be eating. At best, it denotes something that's a departure from the better things we eat. But is that dynamic true when you're on keto? Before I jump into this, I'd like to ask you to take a moment right now to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to make sure you keep getting this kind of dynamic information that allows you to excel at keto. Today, I'm not talking about cheating. In other words, eating something that throws you out of ketosis. I addressed that in another video. What I'm talking with you about today is that little something that takes the edge off when you're hungry, or when you have that sweet tooth, or when you see coworkers eating donuts and you get sort of a negative emotion because you feel like you can't join in. The something that addresses those situations is what I refer to as keto treats and snacks. I want to take our thought process on this to a different level. If something you're going to eat is small or really yummy or small and yummy, and it maintains the proper keto ratio of 80% fat, 15% protein, and 5% or less carbs, is it actually a treat or snack? Today I want to undo some of that long-standing programming in our brains and get us to think differently when in keto, because the old rules, the old construct we've been programmed with our whole lives doesn't apply when we're in ketosis. What you think of as treats or snacks in the sense of how you've always used those words isn't what we're doing when we have a small amount of something tasty on keto. When we're on keto, provided the small things we're having are in the 80-15-5 ratio, as it should be, we're just having a little something. In other words, fewer calories than we might have in a meal, but what we're having is no less nutritious or healthy. Here are a couple of examples of what might be called treats or snacks that we eat in my house. These are keto-compliant cookies, and these are what we call chocolate seed treats. Let's say you were going to have a meal of chicken and broccoli smothered in creamy Alfredo sauce. That meal keeps the 80-15-5 ratio and is 600 calories. Now let's say the keto-compliant cookies you just saw are 80-15-5 and 150 calories each, which happens to be the case. So 4 cookies and the chicken and broccoli meal have the same exact amount of calories, and both are 80-15-5. But based on your decades of standard American diet programming, you almost certainly see those two dishes as being very different, because cookies are not remotely the same as chicken and broccoli, right? But these aren't standard American diet cookies, are they? Sad cookies are filled with a grotesque amount of carbs, with fat in the second place, violating the cardinal rule of never eating high carbs and high fat in the same meal. There's essentially no protein. In other words, knowing what we know now about high carb foods, and sugar in particular, standard American diet cookies are straight up poison to our bodies. But that has absolutely nothing to do with keto cookies, does it? Let's take this further. We'll stick with the comparison between the chicken broccoli dish and 4 keto cookies, both being 600 calories and conforming to the 80-15-5 ratio. Let's look at how the body deals with their macros. The intestines break down dietary protein into amino acids. Amino acids are the foundation of all protein, and only when dietary protein is broken down into its constituent amino acids can the body uptake and use it. Here's a question for you. Do you think there is any difference between protein from chicken and protein from the almond flour in those keto cookies? The answer is there is no difference whatsoever in protein from one food source or another. Protein is protein. What about carbs? Do you think the body can differentiate between carbs it breaks down from broccoli and carbs it breaks down from almond flour? The answer is all carbs are broken down to monosaccharides, which is the very simplest form of sugar, in which state it can enter the bloodstream as glucose. The only difference between one carb and another is how quickly or slowly that digestive process takes place. We refer to that as the glycemic factor, which is rated on the glycemic index. So if carbs from broccoli and carbs from almond flour are both in the bottom, say 25% of the glycemic index, which they should be if you're doing keto, then as far as the body is concerned, there is no difference in carbs from either source. How about fat? Do you think the body knows the difference between fat from an Alfredo sauce, which is vegetable oil-based fat, or fat from things like almond flour or butter? Fat digestion is more complex than carbs or protein, but the short version is all dietary fat is broken down into fatty acids and monoglycerides. The differentiation is in the fatty acids, which come in three forms: short, medium, and long chain versions. But guess what? The body uses all three kinds. Well, I get into the shockingly inaccurate information put out by the United States government and the American medical community concerning fat in another video. For today, I'll just say there is no such thing as bad fat. That's part of the grotesque falsehood that have been put out to the public, that's you, for more than 40 years, which is the foundation of our current national health crisis. If there are no bad fats, then all dietary fats are good, right? Yes, absolutely. Our bodies need and use both saturated and unsaturated fats to keep us healthy. And when in ketosis, there's virtually no amount of fat that is too much to consume because our bodies use it for energy. The single exception to my "there are no bad fats" statement being, of course, man-made trans fats, which I discuss in more detail in the video entitled All About Fats. To recap, the body cannot differentiate between one source of protein or another, nor between one source of carbs or another. Each gets broken down into its smaller, usable constituent parts without any connection to the original dietary source. All fats break down into short, medium, and long-chain fatty acids and monoglycerides, all being used by the body to keep us healthy. And when in ketosis, there is, in a practical sense, no such thing as consuming too much fat. With all of that under our belts, let's return to the original inquiry. Is there any difference, as far as the body is concerned, between eating the chicken and broccoli meal or eating 4 keto cookies? No, there is absolutely no difference to the body whether you eat one or the other. The body will break down the macros to their constituent parts and use them in exactly the same way. And that brings me to the point this has all been leading to. On keto, we need to stop thinking like we did when we were eating the standard American diet. In the keto world, which means we're in ketosis, a snack or treat that maintains the 80-15-5 ratio is every bit as nutritious and healthy for our bodies as anything else we eat, simply perhaps containing fewer calories because it's smaller. When on keto, the difference between something like a chicken and broccoli meal or 4 keto cookies is not physiological, it's mental. Because of decades of eating the standard American diet, we see the chicken and broccoli dish as being very different than those cookies. Yet exactly the opposite is true on keto. Am I advocating you eat snacks and treats all day? I bet you thought I was going to say, of course not. What I'm really going to say is, who cares? If it's 80-15-5, it's all the same to your body. See what I mean about how hard it is to let go of those decades of programming? If you're living the keto lifestyle and want to clear out all that bad programming, you have to consciously focus on changing how you think. But since letting go of all that bad programming is the road to health, I think it's worth it. I hope you do too. And I hope the information in this presentation helps you do just that. If you found this video insightful, please take a moment right now to click the subscribe button below and the notification bell so you're informed every time a new and valuable keto success video posts for you. Also, let me know in the comments if the years of programming have been a challenge for you and what you did to get your head in the right place. I'm sure others will find your comments helpful. It's been a pleasure spending time with you, and until next time, keto on.